We're going to continue with two lovely guests, Izzy from Czech Republic, from Czech Republic, and Dino from Croatia, from the island of Krk. It's a great place to live, I guess, but you can tell us about it. We're going to talk with you about European festivals and United Islands in the Czech Republic, which you work for, and Velvet Festival and what's around that in Croatia, and perhaps things beyond regarding festivals and life in general. So we'll have 1 hour. If you have questions, make sure you don't forget them and can ask at the end, or even in the between the beginning and the end, if you feel like. So I would like you guys to start introducing yourself a little bit and tell us, please, what you do at the festival or in general, and just give us an idea of the event that you are organizing. Izzy, could you start, please?
Sure. So I actually come from the politics world. I studied it and then I worked there a little bit, and then I realized that I'd actually like to do something meaningful with my life. So I switched to the live music industry. Haven't looked back since. That was about 4 years ago. Started off just with this nonprofit that does a Roma festival in Prague, and then sort of realized I really like the fast pace of it. Then I moved on to the United Islands Festival, which is a festival that was founded 22 years ago as a celebration of us entering the European Union, of Czech Republic entering the European Union. And right smack dab in the city center, there were a couple of concerts, and it has grown ever since. COVID was pretty difficult, as it was for the whole industry, but it has actually allowed us to do a pretty drastic switch. The best way to describe us the best way that I've heard us described was that we used to be a pretty random family festival, and after COVID, there was like a huge reshuffle. We basically were starting from scratch. We moved location, and we're more now finding our identity as like an upcoming artist, fresh international festival on like sort of the front lines of these different showcase venues, stuff like that. Forgot to mention we're free, so that also gives us a pretty specific character of what sort of festival we are.
Thank you. We'll go into that a bit. And Dino, please.
Okay, so first a disclaimer, my best friend is in the first row, so I'll be looking everywhere, but at you, I'll be looking everywhere around. So Velvet Festival is an island it's a festival on the island of Krk. I started it when I was 19. Now when I'm 30, given all the stress, when I was in Japan the last time, they gave me actually that I'm 56, that I look 56. So I got pretty older throughout all the stress that it caused me. So my 20s have been a lot of work and a lot of hustle for it to work, because it started as an activism project. It still is, and we hosted almost 500 acts in a village of 800 people. We had like 30,000 visitors almost, and we became kind of the trendsetters, the hipsters of our ex-Yugoslavia region. We have multiple stages ranging from, like, of course, rock to disco, and we have a lot of DJs, boat parties. Our festival is right next to the sea, so if we are the stage, everything behind us would be like the Mediterranean. So it was a lifestyle festival. It was a festival of a celebration of a generation. it still is, and the whole brand and everything. So yeah, a festival in the island of Krk celebrating underground music, let's say, urban music.
Okay. Is this your main job, or do you do something else as well?
This is my main job. Yeah.
Okay. And when you said activism, what kind of activism was the?
Okay,
founding?
So now when we entered the EU, we entered the EU. When we entered the market, because bands and everybody used to go around Croatia because it's simply not on their touring plan. So back in the days, like 10 years ago, we were pretty much left there alone. It was also not post-war, but between the developed Croatia now, which is the EU one, the modern one, and between the war, there was this like standstill of the culture arising and then disappearing, and nothing was actually happening. And I don't know, it was just like an urge to give a platform to the whole region. It's the important thing. The Velvet Festival is and was a platform, a microphone for the whole region of the ex-Yugoslavia. So a place where people from Serbia, Slovenia, Croatia met. It wasn't just based on the Croatian
I
scene.
see. A bit like Exit, maybe? In the mission sense?
In the mission, yeah.
Yeah.
But Exit is
Yeah, I know it's
worldwide.
Yeah, okay. Just staying here for a bit. So, because I remember also Croatia was for some time like becoming this kind of like hotspot for foreign organized festivals. Like a lot of UK led events were taking place in Croatia because of the good weather and the nice beaches, and I remember that. So
yeah, there still are. It's a fight. We are still fighting, and now we are starting to win. So we have this venue, the most famous venue in Croatia is Tisno, which is like a beach resort where a lot of British and Dutch festivals have their festivals there, editions, which used to host like thousands of British and Dutch people, but always excluding the local artists because the local artists wouldn't be selling tickets to foreigners. So yeah, it was like a closed ecosystem, which is now starting to get penetrated with the quality of Croatian artists, because I'm from Croatia, representing now Croatian artists, actually having a voice on the scene. So we were pretty much like humbled, but now they became the humbled, and now they have to book a lot of Croatian artists to even be not protested against.
Yeah, okay. And Izzy, what brought you to, you talked about it a little bit, but what brought you to United Islands specifically? Because you said also that it started having some kind of new identity a few years ago, or it's been more defined maybe. Were you drawn to it because of that, or were you part of the defining the identity part? Or it's still an ongoing process, I guess.
I was lucky to fall into it a little bit after the first, I guess the first year that we started noticing it happening or started consciously doing it. That's, I actually come from the production side, and then, you know, we like speak together as a team, and I like music. I'm very interested in like undiscovered acts yet. If you have less than like 2,000 listeners on Spotify, that's my jam. So I started sort of throwing to the dramaturgy team, and it was sort of like a perfect meeting of I got the reason I actually am on the dramaturgy team is because we shifted the identity of it. I'm not sure how conscious it was. I think it was just sort of the dramaturgy team, we got a new recruit who's he owns like a music server in the Czech Republic, so he has very much the finger on the pulse of the local Czech and Slovak scene, and that really brought a lot of young people who are interested in it. it also goes hand in hand that we're actually, from what we're seeing, because like I work on other festivals production-wise, it's very hard to get young people in the Czech Republic like financially engaged, especially if it's like mid-tier pricing or up. So I think it sort of just went the shift of the image went hand in hand with the time, like with the post-COVID time and with the dramaturgy team, how it met and like created this identity. It's actually pretty cool how it happened organically. I hate that word, sorry, but yeah.
Okay, because I do remember United Islands from many years ago. I was trying to book some bands there, but like 10 plus years ago, and it always had this, like, because it was free, as you said, and it felt to me that there's some kind of like family festival with very like different acts and genres that attract just a large amount of people, and we never got booked. So I've never been there, unfortunately. I don't really know how it was. But it's interesting that it's a free one. And can you explain like what's the model behind it? Like how can it be free, and how did it survive for such a long time?
It was actually pretty strategic. I think 20 years ago it was like, it was like the 90s were just ending, so everything. There was still like very much a culture of like of people saying like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll try it anyway, and like a free festival was a way to do it. The founders just were very into music, so they started this. But the model has always been, and even though we did flirt with the idea of shifting away from it a little bit, we're very heavily dependent on grants and cooperation with the embassies, because we do have international. Not only we have international fans, but we sort of pride ourselves on finding good international bands who are unknown yet and giving them a chance. How that translates to the Czech audience is another story, but yeah, so we have established contacts with the embassies who will help us out, whether it be with the fees or just with the travel budget.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And this year we're sort of we're hitting all the showcase festivals like Ment, Waves, SNS, ESNS.
Yes,
yeah. And establishing contacts there with sort of the bigger European grants, but obviously general partnerships with like the private sector.
Okay, so it could be a really good introductory place for a lot of new bands who wanted to showcase themselves in the Czech Republic. Let's say, is that?
Yeah, absolutely, especially if you don't have an established audience yet. It gives you a really good experience because you're playing on a professional stage in front of everybody. The bands that we have a very responsive audience, so usually if a band is good and really gives it everything, and it starts, they start playing they have like a Friday, the first slot on Friday of the festival, which is usually like tough to get people there. By the end, if they're playing like a really good set, people will come, because it used to be that we thought that this was because we were in the city center, so it was pretty easy. So there was always like tourists walking by. So we used to think that was the case, that you'll always have an audience. And then we moved away from the city center, and the effect is exactly the same. So we have a very engaged audience who's like responsive to if you sound good live or not.
Is it because of the Czech people in general, because they are just interested in new music that they don't know, or it's your aura, let's say, that you curate well?
The Czech market is actually pretty small and pretty conservative when it comes to new music. It's hard to say nowadays because people don't listen to the radio, so I myself sometimes struggle to figure out what's actually like popular with like in general. But so sorry, what I'm trying to get at is that but back then when you could sort of suss out what's popular and what everybody's listening to, Czech people were like, the Czech market was like a year or two behind. Surprisingly, that is still very much the trend. If there's some, we have our own scenes that are pretty established and people listen to, but if you're an international, it tends to be a bit harder to sort of grab the attention, especially if it's not something that is like trending at that time or people have heard, because it's a little bit slower.
Okay, thanks. Dino, can you walk us through a little bit of the timeline of your festival in terms of like evolution, let's say? I'm asking that because last year you announced that it was gonna be the last one, and then it didn't. Or it wasn't the last one, but
it still is.
Okay.
This was secret info.
Okay, sorry. No, but so just it started how it developed, and why did you announce that it should stop?
So yeah, it started with like 100 people in the audience, of which 30 were. So yeah, we had a festival which was on the beach, and if you want to have a festival, you have to have fences around it to surround it, so you can charge people. We didn't have the time to put the fences, so the people who paid the tickets were putting the fences around themselves. So that's how it started. And since we were really focused on really good music all the time, never trends, never listening to others' advices, just really, really good music, groovy people who know how to play their instruments, DJs who know their records, DJs who don't only listen to one genre but have like a huge array of knowledge. I'm generalizing now, but the community grew pretty quick, and it grew into a whole generation throughout the years. Of course, we started as a 100 people festival. Now we ended it at like 4,000 people mark per day. But why we ended is that it was so good, it was so important for the young people, that we wanted it to end at the best possible time, to stay a permanent, happy memory for the rest of their lives. So it was actually a decision not to spoil it with capitalism, with sponsors, with raising prices, with inflation. We just wanted to be like in their best memory forever.
But so you also see some challenges creeping in, even though it was popular and you could do it, but you didn't want to spoil it with what you just explained?
Yes, so we never worked with sponsors, we never worked with the government, we always worked against. We also, I'm now actually going on court with the people who tax the authors' rights, because I'm waiting for proof. They send it to me that they paid out the little artists. It's going good. Hope to earn something there. I'm kidding, no. But I don't know the usual challenges. It's a 1,000 people village. Okay, it's not a village. It's modern. It's not that we are farming there, or I don't know. But it's a small, But it's a small community, and the more people you have in a town, the bigger the chances something will happen somewhere. And although you are only legally responsible for what is happening on your premises, if somebody drunk 1 kilometer away breaks something, you have a big problem.
Is it private property, or you had to rent it private?
Yeah. That's the only way, I think. to make your own rules.
Did you have a lot of issues with the authorities during the year or throughout the years?
When the economical things started to become clear, when we had 4,000 people sleeping out of season, when there was when the town was half empty, then the problem stopped. But yeah, so it was this like, I don't know, balance of people not liking it but actually profiting from it, but still like it's a small city. I mean, you can imagine. You've seen movies and series and the Spanish dramas. People are.
But you're here. You tell us how how it really was. Okay, and so now you decided not to continue with this.
I decided 100% not to continue. We are still doing so. Even when there was a festival, we are still doing concerts and parties all around the year, every year for the past 10 years. I think we do good curation. I think all of the concerts and parties are really good. Nothing capitalistic, but I'm generalizing because I don't know how to find the word. Nothing which is obvious to, I don't know, be because of money. We only do really good stuff.
Quality.
Yeah, we are trying to do really good stuff. And now there is a chance for a new location which could maybe develop the project further. This was the secret that I was telling you. But it will be under the same brand because it's easier for us to promote it that way because it has a lot of followers, blah, blah. But it will be a whole another concept, a little bit bigger.
Yeah, and I suppose it's not just you organizing it, but you have a family, community who's behind it. Is it the same people or your?
It's mostly the same people, but I'm the only one who has a risk, actually. So I'm the most hardworking because after the festival ends, I'm the only one who can actually feel the pain if there is pain.
Okay.
I mean, I have a community of friends, but you know, they're friends. I mean, they're not, they don't work for me.
Yeah.
It worked out.
Okay, and some more practical questions.
Yes.
Since you're also in Hungary, and these people are here also interested in maybe finding out how possible it is to play in Croatia, let's say. Could you give us some still like hope also I used before, but
Of
how
course.
to get into Croatia?
Croatia now, every city has so many chances and so many things are happening, so many clubs and venues. I think there is absolutely a chance for every kind of genre and every kind of artist to play in Croatia right now. It really developed and the whole network developed and everybody who is now playing Europe is touring also Croatia, so there is a way to connect everything and all the venues communicate together. I think there is absolutely 100% chance that you can play either Zagreb or Rijeka or Osijek or Pula, if you know the cities.
And do you only work with ex-Yugoslavian or only Croatian countries?
No, it's random.
Bands, sorry? Or
No, it's random, depending on the feeling and on the opportunity.
Uh-huh. Okay. Thanks. Izzy, you said you have a drum.
I mean, Hungary and Croatia are part of the same system. And since we joined also Schengen and everything, it became pretty much harder, easier to move.
Yes.
So we are actually coming from the same country now, touring-wise. It's much easier than a few years ago.
Have you had any Hungarian bands? Just out of curiosity.
Yes, I had the Immigrant, but that was. I had the Beans. Do you remember the Beans?
The Beans.
Yeah, that was like 2018. Who else?
The Beans. Oh.
Who?
You remember them? Yeah.
Ferko, Vereš Palne.
Uh-huh.
There were a few.
Okay.
All of his projects.
I'm Googling our Hungarian lineup this year.
You're up next.
But also, like the same like the panel before, Hungarian bands, when we were we just weren't maybe the best venue for them all the time. I see Hungarian bands playing all the time, but we were much more focused. I can't remember all the names now, but I know a few of the new Hungarian names that we would like to book. But we developed into you have to specialize yourself in a few genres, because if you go too much around, you won't be that special for people buying the tickets and everything. And we specialized much more into like groovy stuff and like disco, jazz, indie, rock and everything, but more dancey. But okay, not only dancey, but for instance, not hard rock and not, I don't know, metal, because it's, I don't know, it's not the same being on the beach in the summer and like listening to disco or heavy metal. So yeah, we had to like choose our path. I know there's a lot of bands, but yeah, and we booked some. We had the opportunity.
We'll get back to you. Just from easy, you said you have a team who's coming up with the dramaturgy for the lineup. Can you give us some idea, like how does it look like, or what are the considerations when you build the lineup for the year?
So we closely work with venues. One of the more interesting ways to build a lineup is to pick a venue and sort of try to put something in there that is not something that you would think of, but that works. That's our favorite thing to do. So for example, we have this year we're working with a venue called Jazz Dock, so which is jazz. It's always jazz. Nothing else gets ever played there, and it's a really nice place with a really nice atmosphere. It's a dock on the river. So yeah, this year, so we decided to not put jazz in it. Not something like so out there that it just doesn't make sense. So we're putting more acoustic sort of bands. We have a Hungarian drummer duo. Yeah, I'm blanking on the name, but yeah, I'm blanking on the name, but we're putting them there. So that's one way. Another thing, so last year one of our sponsors sort of wanted to do like an anti-xenophobia event, a symphony for humanity. So that gave us certain parameters to work within. We actually really like being set certain limitations, and then we try and make it our own, which has sort of I feel that over the last 2 or 3 years, as we've been building up that image, it's been really useful for us to.
Can you give us a few examples or some examples about the limitations you're setting up for yourself?
So for the Symphony for Humanity concert, we had to, since it was like anti-xenophobia, we had to look into minorities in the Czech Republic. That was really interesting. Then international acts that have that sort of that have like, I don't know, third culture roots or immigrant roots. Then what's never a limitation is technically budget, because ours is pretty low since we're a free festival. It gives us a certain cutoff point that we just can't look past. We can't look if a band is like big enough. We just can't. So there's no way. So that actually just frees us up from like all these possibilities to like set a pretty limit to just sort of look into upcomers, which is also really nice and interesting.
Yeah, there was a lot of discussions here in Hungary as well about how Sziget couldn't happen and how they played all this like name game, like bigger and bigger and bigger names, and how it just took away their identity in many ways. And it's interesting how you're doing the other way.
Yeah, I think we're lucky in that we don't charge admission, because we just don't have to care about those names or streams. Really, when I go to showcase venues, what I look, and sometimes I look a bit closer at, I don't know, say that we're working with the Spanish embassy. I go and look for like Spanish bands. But what we're looking for is potential, and if we like the sound of it. That's why sometimes I look at the lineup. We've looked at the lineup, and I noticed that we're missing some pop. So we did look more into the poppy direction. We try to keep it well balanced, so there's something for everybody. But yeah, we don't have to play the name game.
And when you think about your ideal guest, I guess you have a few maybe.
We really enjoy booking names that are on the cusp of that are sort of that we see a lot of potential, and they tend to be on the cusp of like making it big. That's a lot easier to do with Czech names. I feel that if you're in the industry long enough and if you hustle hard enough, you're bound to have some sort of audience, and you're bound to have you're bound to show up on TV like once or twice at these award shows. So we have had like lots of names that 2 years later or like a year later are nominated in like the Czech music awards or stuff like that. But I think what we're really proud of, last year we had Cloudy June. We booked, which is an Austrian dark pop singer. So she really was like a very solid up and comer, but less than like about 90,000 streams on Spotify. This year she has, last time I checked, it was like 900,000. I wouldn't be surprised if it was over a million. Then a totally different genre, that is actually that has a very strong presence in the Czech and Slovak market, is sort of this like DIY rap punk sort of thing, like very anarchist. So a Slovak rapper called Fakult, who had a pretty solid like indie bass. A couple of months after we booked him, and then he was one of the biggest concerts at our festival, and then it sort of worked out really well that he sort of swept all the awards in Slovakia and stuff, and very, very popular, broke through into the Czech Republic. That's not, I don't want to say that that's because of us. It's not. It's more that we have, like I said, our dramaturg who's in charge of the Czech domestic scene really, really has his finger on the pulse and knows what he's doing.
And what would be the best way for a Hungarian act to try and get a slot at the festival? Through clubs or embassies, or what's the?
I personally prefer showcase festivals. I'm also in charge. I'm also the one who goes to the showcase festivals. Seeing you live is so important. And I actually did reach out to you and then a couple of other, can I name?
HOTS.
Yeah, HOTS and like other institutes. I don't know if I can say that. It's competition. I don't know. Anyway,
yeah, I don't know.
There's so different. I guess different like music export. Companies here, we don't really work with the embassy so much, although we had Macrohang last year, and they stayed at the embassy. So I think, so they're actually, I think, good at, the embassy's pretty good at like providing, supporting the acts in that way. But Hungary is actually pretty special in that we go through like HOTS and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thanks. And Dino, what about the what I wanted to ask about is like how do you feel about the local Croatian scene? Like, did you build it? Do you feel like you have a responsibility towards how they build their career, or you just like them at a certain spot? You have them at your show, and then they do their thing, or you feel like you have some responsibility for how they play, when they play.
Yeah, so the big thing with us is when we book something, we are really proud that we book them. So we do not a huge marketing campaign, but we do a lot of promo for them. So we actually, a lot of the artists that play the festival played again or played in the same circles. So I also wouldn't say that I think we launched 1 or 2 careers, maybe, because they were at the right time, at the right place at the right time. But yeah, I don't know. With such a niche like festival, niche people also come, so you have like a network spreads from that point on. So yeah, we never like only post a lineup and never again mention the artists. We work with every artist, and we always ask every artist to give us unique photos. We never use press photos they usually use. So everything has to be special in order to promote them better, which is also a good advice I would like to give artists to approach every project a little bit differently.
And when it comes to your future, like close future or near future, curating shows or booking shows, are you planning on working only in Croatia or in the region?
I actually work for a British radio, which is called NTS, a little bit, some production, and I work for a Dutch festival now. I sold myself for the Mantel, but only as
as a promoter or a booker? Or
No, I only work as a contact for our people who work for them there outside. So I work like a Croatian contact, which is recruiting Croatian young people who they take for internships.
Oh, like volunteers? Or
yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, and like designers and production managers, everything. We have like a little platform developed because now they're under. Now they have to, as I said before, they were the leaders. Now they have to work with us, and we started it a little bit. Our scene started it a little bit, so now we are like, we are working together, actually. So yeah, I don't know, but my future is on the island. My future is in Croatia. I think Croatia is the best country on the planet. And I'm kidding, but you know, it's a nationalistic sense. It's a romantic nationalism. I don't know.
Yeah, we talked with the 2 other guys before how the scenes are becoming much more locally focused. Is this true for both Czech Republic and Croatia as well?
What do you mean locally focused?
Like for the domestic acts, like the local acts are much more regarded and embraced much better than maybe 5-10 years ago.
Yes, in the past few years, a lot of local acts are like selling out bigger and bigger and bigger venues. Like every year, a bigger venue. Now, for instance, my good friend, which is called Idem, which means going in Croatia, doesn't matter. But like last year, he sold out 1,000 tickets. Now he's announcing an arena of 5,000 tickets. And he's not the only example. So yeah, people are going more and more to the concerts. It's actually weird.
And when it comes to a festival where you need to
people are not on their phones. We have actually a striving concert culture.
That's like great. But and are there enough bands to support it, or
no,
for a festival like what you're doing, maybe it's harder to have enough bands who are actually interesting? And
it's really hard, but you can always replace them with DJs, right? No, I'm kidding. I mean, I can just tell a friend to like DJ. I'm kidding. But yeah, and Yugoslavia, ex-Yugoslavia has this phenomena that every new band immediately becomes an attraction. If it doesn't become successful or not, but it's immediately an attraction. If it has some kind of like visual identity or something special around them, they're not generic, they're instantly like touring and people are attending their shows, so there's a huge interest for a new band. And I also want to say, because of a lot of people, everyone here is from Hungary, when you enter one venue in Croatia, you usually have an access to the whole network. of ex-Yugoslavia, like Serbia, Slovenia, Croatia, because all of them, the scene is so small. It's not that small, it's 18 million people, but the scene, the venues
In Croatia
and
or
everything
in the
in the ex-EU region
Yeah.
are so connected that actually if you have one contact, you could pretty much be doing a tour pretty easy.
Is that relatively easy to do, or that's?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the venues are also co-founded by the governments or by cities, so they actually don't have people who are risking anything, so they're providing a bigger platform for maybe bands whose night wouldn't be profitable.
And what's the secret to unlock this? You know, to find one or two good entry points.
Going to conferences, not going to the conference, but going out, getting drunk, and at 4 a.m. you approach them.
Okay.
I'm kidding, but friendships and I don't know, just being good.
And which events would you recommend to go in ex-Yugoslavian countries? To
Which bands?
which events?
I can follow up on that and maybe send you so you can maybe do a newsletter or a brief, but it's hard. Whatever I say now, nobody will remember or no, I don't know.
Okay.
Močvara.
What?
It's better if I write it down with like Google Maps links.
Okay, but it's gonna be recorded, so we can also just put some links under.
So, no, I'm kidding. Depending on the genre, also.
Yeah, okay, but
As I
we'll
said,
pick your
there's
brain
a-
a bit maybe after. Okay. And is he in regards of Czech Republic, in terms of, let's say, the domestic part, and how is it for you becoming harder to book because there aren't enough local acts, or that's not the case?
No, actually, the genre or well, it's not a genre, but the group of people we're interested in is a sort of young, or not even young, but like people who do very like DIY stuff in their room, and it sounds like it has potential. So there's always a market for that. Maybe even, I don't know, this is just theorizing, but Czech people are actually pretty good at like amateur DIY stuff. We're very strong in that in theater. Maybe that translates into music. There's a while we have a very small, or like I don't know, relative to Germany, we have a very small like indie music scene, but it's a very dedicated one and it's a very active one. We have like 2 radio stations that are really big into like promoting domestic or like playing domestic acts. So the core is pretty small, but it's dedicated. So, and if you work hard enough, and if you network hard enough and you go to the conferences, you will get some airplay and you will get into it. I'm sorry, what was the second part of the question?
About like if you have an issue with this, like finding enough local acts on them, but I guess you answered
so
it.
local acts, no. It's I'm a bit more focused on the international like up and coming scene. That's more of what I'm good at. That is a little bit harder to get to our audience, with the exception of the Slovak scene, which we're very much connected with, and actually a lot of the times some of the major players in the like anarchist punk rap scene are Slovak, and even like the pop acts, very much lots of them come from Slovakia.
It sounds to me that the festival is quite like socially and politically conscious, and trying to do, like you said, this xenophobia event. And where does that stop, or what's the vision around that? Like how responsible you want to be?
So that is actually something that we are really focusing on this year. well, it started off with, well, obviously, like a celebration of joining the European Union. So, you know, all these things we, you know, try to promote minority acts, spotlight them, things like that. Our non-musical program is being more and more focused on these themes. Very big even into like really basic political values like democracy and liberalism, and people, you know, should all be treated the same, which obviously sounds pretty banal here, but with the recent elections that we're having in Slovakia and Czech Republic, it's unfortunately becoming relevant again. So, you know, inviting the right politicians to come see our acts, things like that. And this year we want to, or like we had the president last year, who's really, has been a pretty good symbol of all that. And this year we're focusing on giving back to the local community, because we moved from the center to a little bit more, not on the outskirts of Prague, but like a little bit away from the bustling center. So we're getting involved in like, with different like social institutions around to bring people to our concert, give them special seatings, things like that.
Yeah, your founding principles, like being happy for joining the EU, are being challenged from left and right.
Yeah, yeah.
And how do you deal with that? Or is that, what are the peculiar, I don't know, difficulties next year or the near future?
I think the way that that's going to reflect the most is in cuts. Culture is going to have a lot of, like I said, we rely on grants and stuff. So, and there has been some talk about like 40% of the budget being slashed, things like that. Which is also why we're trying to shift our focus more to private, to like private sponsors with mixed success. So we'll have to see how that develops. That being said, there are successful festivals who have done that. So like Pohoda Festival in Slovakia, obviously, like this beacon of these values, because it's actually, like, in my opinion, one of the best examples of doing that successfully. So not all is lost, and their conditions, you know, in Slovakia, it's a lot tougher. I feel like those values are being challenged way more directly. I've heard some things about Hungary too, so, but they've still been able to have like an amazingly successful festival. So not all hope is lost. It's gonna be a challenge, but you know, this industry always has like faced challenges. I don't think it's ever gonna be a smooth ride if you want to work in this industry. So we're hopeful. We're
you mentioned you're
scared but hopeful.
Planning to start charging or voluntarily charging. What's that idea?
So we are always going to be free, but what we have noticed that we have a very cool and dedicated fan base who has moved with us with our locations and everything. So we're on our website you can find like a voluntary ticket, so voluntary admission. So you can come to the festival, that's totally fine. If you want to support us, you can go buy a ticket. One festival that has done this very successfully is the Povalič Festival, which is a very indie festival. I think very much like you started with like 100 people and now has a couple of thousand coming every year. All Czech bands, all like, I guess the vibe of it would be the best bands that your friends play in, like in the garage. So like the best garage bands that you know. And it's really good. People even come from like the vibes and stuff. And they have been really good at this model of voluntary admission, to the point where like I don't know the exact numbers, but like a sizable amount, even I like every time I just give them minimum price.
Okay. We are getting close to our cutoff time, unfortunately. Do you guys have any questions? Yes.
I mean, Dino described the Croatian market like an utopistic ideal. If I know one manager in Osijek, he opens me the gate to 5 other different Croatian cities which are expecting me to play my stuff for them. Of course, you got euros also, so you pay probably well. And now the Eastern European question, let's talk about money. Of course, we are not Eastern Europeans, we are Central Europeans. No one wants to be Eastern European anymore.
It's the famous Zizek.
Yeah, you spent 10 years in the industry, Isabel spent 4 years in the industry. How about the income? Can you live off culture already? Are your family happy with your income level? How many? Sacrifice. I didn't ask the Danish and the German guys because it's another region, but I just as a comparison.
You were asking like,
can you make a living from
or
culture? How long? Is it
generally artist or me?
Organizing culture.
Yes, you can. You can, but after years of struggle. I really went through deep shit and credits and depression and stuff. It was really hard, but the downfall also brought me up. I'm not earning now, I don't know what, and also as an independent, you can't get a credit line. You're not suitable for a credit line because you don't work anywhere, you work for yourself, blah, blah. So there are problems, but somehow I manage, but only manage.
Was it 3 years or how long was this certain dark tunnel?
6, 7 years. And the venues and the cultural sector throughout maybe thrives the most, of course, in Zagreb. It is the capital city, but you also the scene there is pretty much either you have a private company owning a club, which is doing only things which have to be profitable because they have to live off of it, or you have government funded. So it's either plus or minus, and they are living off of it. But yeah, the indie organizers and bands struggle definitely a lot until they found their own like way. I don't know how to say it. But yeah, I had a really hard time. But now I'm okay, but only okay. I'm not like rich or poor, and not even it's livable.
I'd like to add that it's not comfortable, and definitely takes a lot of effort to even get your foot in the door, especially in a small market like the Czech Republic, where people are pretty precious about their spots and don't want to lose them. Takes like, I think first year you have to introduce yourself to the scene. Luckily, it's a pretty small one, so you get in your foot in the door in the first year, and then you sort of start creating contacts.
Nothing.
That being said, I work production too, and it's more just like lots of different gigs. There are no. I can think of like one person who does dramaturgy for full time, and that's the dramaturg for Colors of Ostrava, which is another big festival. Yeah, it's complicated. And then, so from the creative side, it's definitely a struggle. You can never do just dramaturgy. Like I said, I do production and advancing too. And then from the music side, yeah, I mean, that's really difficult. Depends what you do. So for example, my boyfriend, he does IT now, and he used to be a full-time musician. He used to play jazz, like jazz horns, jazz brass instruments. So it's a pretty specific niche, and he lasted about a year and then decided that lifestyle, like he'd rather just have it as a hobby. It's a pretty brain rot lifestyle. You don't really leave the pubs that you play in, and you get paid, and then you like waste it all away in one evening on like alcohol. So if you're into that, then sure, like go for it.
Thanks. There's another one.
Yeah. Do you guys usually contact the bands? Like, you look for them, or do you have a lot of bands looking for you guys?
I actually, I do it. I mean, I work not alone, but most of the emailing I do myself, and most of the reaching out I also do myself. I don't explore that much emails that I receive. Not that I don't want to, or not anything negative that is pretentious or something, but I don't know. It turned out for me that the bands that were really good, it somehow circulated.
They never write to you.
No, they ignored me like a girl, and then I was like impressed. No, but it always came naturally. But I don't have so many slots, so I have like 16 to 20 slots for bands, and if you work a whole year around it, I mean, it's not that hard to fill out. But yeah, I did most of the reaching out, and writing an email, that's a whole nother. How would you get an organizer or a booker to read your email? That's super hard. Super hard without a backbone. I don't know, just without an introduction. Yeah, I don't have advice. It's really hard.
Yeah, I mean,
to get someone interested who'd never heard of it.
Yeah, in like a cold email, it's pretty difficult. I tend not to do it. I mean, there have been some cases where we liked a band and we put them in like a minor project, but I tend to pass it on to our bookers, and I don't know if they listen to them. What works a lot better is seeing you live, seeing it at a conference. If you come up to me and come up to me and talk, we do a couple of social events. I tend to that approach works best for me. For like, if the band is the one to approach me, it's best to do it face to face. Like I keep saying, like, these sorts of events are really good for that, because then I actually do tend to sit down and listen to it, and I actually know a couple of bands that I have at the back of my mind to use for the future. Cold emails are really tough. I wouldn't want to discourage anyone from not sending them. I think it's definitely the bare minimum that needs to be done, but don't have that as like your end-all be-all strategy.
And instead of emails, like tagging on Instagram or somewhere, is that something you see happening? Like
not so much, but works better because immediately there's like a video. There's a video, or there's just an audio sample to it that like I click and I immediately hear you. I don't have to like read through text of like where you played and when you played, because I don't actually care how many concerts you played or whatever. It's better just to immediately hear how you sound.
Huge topic.
It's getting we're running out of
the
time.
showcases and everything are about this for the past, I don't know, 50 years. It's really hard. There's not a formula, and I'm not the biggest organizer in the world. I do like a small festival, so don't listen to me.
And it's like it's harder than ever.
I don't want to seem like an important guy giving advice or something.
So.
Yeah, but yeah, cold calls are hard. Like in everything, like in business, like in offering your services of hairdressing. I don't know. People usually hear from someone that you are good. I don't know. But at the same time, you don't have to talk to people if you don't want. Don't push yourself onto people. I don't know. It's really hard. But the music has to be good. That's the only thing. It has to be good, and it's not always the best.
Maybe one or two last questions. If we can squeeze something in. Yes?
I have a question about venues. How do you reach out to venues to organize stuff in there, or from this part, because I'm sort of an organizer here. When you want to organize a festival or something, and you have like many venues in the town, how do you choose them, or do you have any like special method for it, or like a guideline?
I think in music, especially in the now everything comes down to networking, and also when you know the business model or the model behind the venue, you know it forever. So I don't know, the sooner you get in contact with the venue, the better it is for you later to choose between each one of them. Yeah.
We have actually, so our festival is 3 days, and the first night is our club night, and that's all across Prague, different like smaller venues where we have like really small bands that submit themselves. They're Czech bands, and they just submit themselves to us. They're the garage bands I was talking about. So like no management, no nothing. And we actually in Prague have a big problem that it's increasingly harder to find venues because they're all shutting down. We used to go off past history, and then we get grants from certain sections of Prague. So we have like, I think like Prague 1, Prague 2, Prague 3. Depends on how much money they give us. We look into what venues they have, but we definitely, if you had like a venue in Prague and you reached out to us, we would be very eager to look into it.
But also, if you're organizing, I don't know if you're starting or doing it for a while, the thing I learned in the past 10 years with everything is you need to plan ahead. So time sells tickets, time gives you the opportunity to book multiple events or the events you want to book. Time gives you an opportunity to book an artist when you want it, not when they want it. I mean, not that they don't want it, and then you like tell them to play it. But yeah, I don't know. Now I put myself a rule. I only plan like 7, 8, 9 months ahead, because then you have all the possibilities are open. If you are planning like now for April,
forget it.
Yeah, forget it almost. Then you are dependent on others. Then everybody is like controlling your process instead of you controlling your own. So time is the best advice.
Yeah, that's a great one. One more, perhaps, and then
Palinka.
We need to go. Yeah. Okay. If not, then thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was a great pleasure. Dino, Izzy, thanks a lot. And see you in a month almost, but you're on the list, so you'll get the info from the HOTS team. And yeah, looking forward to have you back again. Bye, guys.